Greetings, brothers and sisters. It's Professor Spira.
Oh, and finally, Brother Air in the spot.
We are here live from Spira Studios in beautiful Columbus, Ohio. And we finally made it.
Finally, yeah. I mean,
we've been talking about this a while.
Man. We finally got together to do this together. We done like about 700 of them. In different places,
and it's
all over the world,
all over the place. But it kind of just kind of hooked up at we talk about last minute, just like you know, he didn't expect to be coming up here today, but it all came together. So
yeah, man.
So what's been going on, man? What's been happening?
Trying to I don't know, man, enjoying the summer, man, and I guess you could call this summer the transition palooza summer. You know, just transitions in a lot of different ways, man. You know, coming off of some real heavy transitions, both of us going through. I mean, it's always a learning curve practicing the mucusless diet when you really are very sensitive to your physiology, and so I'm just so happy, man, to be here doing this together, because we've been wanting to do this together, you know, so we wouldn't have no problems, me going out. And I actually had a chance to see him at work, and this, I was saying Brother Air's equipment is not that bad, you know, because I've been here, I've seen it's not as easy as you know, things don't work as smooth, but he gets it done. I mean, this dude is like a wizard on, you know, I mean, this place is like screens around all the way around the room. He's got like lights that's hotter than the sun. Oh, that's why I got my sunglasses. I was like, man, I want to put my sunglasses on. He got like 7,000 watts beaming. You know, like you can see every little blemish on me, you know. So yeah, man, but it's you know, I've been up here many a times before, but you know, it's the first time, like I say, to get to sit and do this. And so we wanted to talk about a few things. I know what had been on your mind for months and months.
Yeah,
the transition. What had been on my mind was carnivores. You know, maintaining friendships with carnivores. That had been something, because when I talked to you and like Sister Cora, y'all, I don't hang with.
Yeah,
and I hang out with, you know, with them, man. You know, I have some really, you know, some close friends, but it's getting increasingly harder to maintain a friendship. With them, and I'm seeing it, and I'm feeling it, and I'm, you know, not so happy about it, but I'll let it be whatever it has to be, because you know, you say time and change is synonymous, you know. So it might be, you know, that time. So transition, man. What did you want to know about?
I want to know, and I think and I kind of know, you know, I think the brothers and sisters want to know, like, what did the early days of your transition really look like? You know, the early years, you know, the first decade, the first 20 years, you know, what that first year or two looked like, you know, the kind of things that you were doing. Because there's a lot of things that you did in the beginning that you you might not do now, you know, or
Right,
that you
right,
did for a
right.
number of years, and then you kind of flipped the script and did something else. So, so that's kind of what I want to get into, is just what you did in the early days, you know, and you could kind of go back to your Dick Gregory, you know, your water vibe, but whatever sort of created your transition.
Think that to stay there at the beginning of the Mucusless Diet Healing System for me was most interesting. Before that, it was vegetarianism. What I thought vegetarianism was, you know, coming out of Dick Gregory camp and doing all the, you know, the big plate, you know. I used to have this big Pyrex plate, about 12 inches, you know, and that was just a salad plate. And I would do the beans, and it was just that plate. That was the plate I ate out of every day. And then, you know, trying to like travel all the time, you know, plan, and having to figure out what I'm gonna eat if I'm a vegetarian, because everybody's, you know, in a hotel, and the hotel food, or seeing a Burger King from the bus, you know, they like pull it over, you know. So that was kind of a different kind of transition. Excuse me. And but you know, trying to figure it out, but you had to stay on it, you know. And that's why I think I developed, I guess, what's the word, propensity for fasting, because I would have to go sometimes, man, with nothing, you know, because you're in towns and stuff, man, and you know, might get an orange, you know what I mean, or
now when you were juicing, because you talked about you got the juicer from the Juice Man, at some point,
Jay Cartage, I spent time with him and went to his house. And
now, was this before you read the Mucusless Diet book? Was it, or was this like after?
This was, man, that was, no, I read the Mucusless Diet book.
Okay, so by that point, that's when you would be on the road as a musician, and you had, you know, you like you had a big cooler, and the juicer and ice and stuff,
because I knew, like, you know, maintaining juice, and that's where I think I developed the fasting. Was I used to juice for maybe 2 months without eating. You know, I would juice, man, and I got settled with that 6 weeks. You know,
and at that time, and you were juicing fruits and vegetables. You were just kind of the whole.
Yeah, I always did vegetables in the morning, or, you know, afternoon, you know, noontime, and juice and fruit juice at night. That was, you know, and I had this big glass, man, that I would make, you know, big old quart, and that was it, man. And I would stay on that, you know, and I wouldn't drinking no store-bought juice. Store-bought juice came later when I started a family and everybody was asking for my juice. I was like, man, I can't afford this, you know.
Right.
Like, I just, you know, juiced 2 pineapples, and now, you know, I got a nice big old glass, like, wow. And then everybody's asking for some, and it's like this much left for me. So, you know, I started.
So you were you was like hardcore juicer, juicing for about about 7
or 8 years. Really hardcore. I mean, really hardcore. I mean, it was, you know, and I love that, man. And I wish I could get back to it. And I know the reason why now I don't do it, because I hate cleaning the juicer. Just lazy, man.
Everybody out there is like, boo.
I don't like cleaning that juicer up because I was into a thing where I cleaned my juicer immediately. You know, like immediately after I drank my juice. I mean, that was just the ritual. You know, I never left the juicer where I had to come back to it the next day or no. It was always. So that kind of locomotion is gone.
Yeah.
You know, for me at this point now. You know,
but to stay focused on them early days, so that you was about 7 and 8 years, just like every day juicing, just real hardcore.
And I was eating too, but
right.
I mean, I was juicing, man. I was really into all these different recipes that Jay had, you know, personally written out for me and showed me personally some things. And I remember that lemonade, man, you know, the, four apples with
two lemons.
Well, just one lemon actually, but you can put two, depending on how tart you wanted it, you know. But oh man, that and strawberry, I forget what they call this, the strawberries and purple grapes and pineapples, oranges. And then, you know, after that, you just start improvisating, man, with all kind of papayas and man, whatever fruits you got.
Yeah.
You would, you know, throw down and
so you did the tell them your signature beet.
Oh, the beet, parsley, cucumber, garlic, carrot, apple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the cleanser. That was, don't leave the house until a couple hours after that drink. You know, give yourself 2 hours to, you know, get it together. But and then I got really stupid with the garlic. I mean, it was, when I say stupid, it was like I was
putting in a whole.
Oh man, I was putting like 4 and 5 cloves, you know, and people would notice it. You know, you go around folks and people like, you know, I didn't notice it at first, and people, but then folks was like, man, you know, so. And it would get harder to drink with that kind of garlic in that juice. You'd be like sitting there, you know, really kind of like, you know, trying to get it down. But at that point, you know, I was just about intake of food, regardless of how it tastes, was just about my elimination. And saying, I guess that's still, you know, that's still my I think that's still, because, you know, we don't get the greatest fruit in the Midwest.
No.
Every now and then we will get something, but I constantly eat it. I know my son, he's like, man, that's terrible, you know, but I'll eat it, man, because I'm going for the elimination. I'm not worried about nutrition or any of that. You know, and if this is all I have, you know, I'm gonna eat it. And so that transition was, you know, because there's a transition of a single man, and then there's a transition of a married man.
All right, so I guess so we roll into the married man transition.
Oh
so,
man, it was
because before that, because did you? I mean, what mucus lean before your marriage? What mucus lean foods did you eat? Like, what was your staples in terms of when you're gonna eat some mucus? What was your staples?
Probably would be beans. That was beans of all sorts. 16 bean, Great Northern bean, and everything, but probably lentils. I didn't mess with lentils, but beans. Most people was doing pasta. I didn't really feel pasta. And I think I might have ate it, you know, maybe once a year or something. You know, I mean, I wasn't no pasta guy. You know, I was the beans. and a big salad. It was always the big salad with the beans under it.
You said you had a big plate. You had bought some kind of big plate.
Big old Pyrex plate.
So you'd always
bake pies in, and that was, you know, it was just that. And so so that became, now the transition as the married man changed because of the wife trying to be a part of the practice.
Mm-hmm.
And she would just, you know, corrupt me, man. You know what I mean? It was like, I was like, I don't eat this. You know what I mean? Like the foods of vegetarianism, you know, it's like, I never bought food. You know what I mean? Like whatever was out in the 80s or whatever, and it was pretty terrible.
Right. Like you, so you talking about, we talk like the processed
foods. Yeah, I never
vegan or vegetarian food, the soy products and the wheat gluten products and the
I never
tofu,
bought
turkeys and all that kind of.
Up until I was with my wife. Then she was trying to bring things to the table, and I was kind of negative at first, but then I kind of got pulled by the collar and said, hey, let her bring something to the table, because she's with you, and it's hard to find a woman who's gonna be down with you practicing the Mucusless Diet Healing System.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about vegetarianism.
Right.
You know, we're talking about the Mucusless Diet Healing System. So to find women who will like be down with that, you know, like, and let you deal with the children, you know what I mean? So so then I kind of backed off and was and let her kind of, you know, bring some things to the table. And so she started bringing in the processed stuff. Even though I didn't eat a lot of that, I tell you what I did get back into was the potatoes.
Yeah, well, that was next. I was going to ask about the potato.
She got binge. She got this potato thing going where she was into the potatoes, and she was
and for the folks playing at home, this is like 10 years in. What is it? 10 years into you practicing the diet?
Yeah, this was probably good 10, maybe 12. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and she got into these potatoes, and she was pregnant, man. So I was doing a lot of the cooking, and she would want French fries. Now I was making these French fries for her. And I remember growing up how my mother would make chicken and French fries with peanut oil. So I remembered that. And I said, man, I'm going to make it really good for her. I'm going to go get some peanut oil.
Right.
So I did that for probably a month, man. I didn't touch them. I would just make them, and she would eat them with tomato sauce, with some kind of tomato sauce. And I would cut them up, and they would be kind of like these steak size fries, you know, real crispy with the peanut oil, real crunchy. So after about a month, I accidentally tasted one, and I was done, man. I was done. I accidentally tasted one.
And
with a little tomato sauce.
And these were white potatoes?
Yeah, these were white potatoes. These were white potatoes. And man, I was like, wow, oh man, it was so good. I was like, whoa. Like, yeah, what you said. Yeah. So I started eating that stuff with her, man, eating the white potatoes. Because I mean, at that point, that was kind of like our popcorn for watching a movie.
Right.
You know, we were French fries.
For the French fries, yeah, with the peanut oil. Yeah,
with the peanut oil, man. And so I started eating that. And I remember, and so I'm eating it. And all of a sudden, this is like maybe a month or two into it. And I'm eating this, and and my left eye went out, man. I mean, like literally, like, you know, just like a cataract, just clouded up to this day, you know, to this day. And and now it's better. It's smaller as far as it's like I can see everything. Everything is just like I couldn't see if you had something on the tip of your nose, I couldn't see that tip of your nose. But I can see everything else. That's the way it was. And this thing got even smaller with transitioning into the Mucusless diet. I mean, but yeah, that it just you know, that really messed me up, man. And I shut the potatoes down. And as of shut for the whole family, white potatoes down, you know. Things like that. So yeah.
And that's and it's stories like that I've known, and that's one reason why I mean, first that sort of colored my transition, where there was certain things that I just didn't touch, that I was like, okay, if that's gonna be a relapse trigger like that, because I haven't touched a white potato product in 12 years or so, you know, 12, 13 years. I mean, once after my first couple months of practicing the diet, once I got into the sweet potato stuff, I was like, I don't need to go back, because the white potato pretty much, it opened the door for just pain and suffering in the wrong direction. Because my thing with I would rather have a baked sweet potato than a baked white potato, because for me, the baked white potato, I couldn't eat that without sour cream and butter and salt and pepper and chives, and probably put some bacon bits on it or something. I can't cheese. You can't have white because it don't taste like nothing by itself. But a sweet potato has at least got a little taste to it.
Yeah.
And so once I got into the baked sweet potato, I was like, cool. I had some like a bag of potato chips kind of early on. And after I had been transitioning, after I had already been doing some enemas and stuff, and it made me so sick. And I ain't touched a white potato chip since. And so, but that was kind of based on like that type of story, because he had told me that story years ago about sort of just getting strung out on the peanut oil, making the white potatoes.
Yeah.
So I was like, I ain't even gonna make that be a part of my transition. I just cut that right on out. And to take relapse triggers seriously and to see them coming, you know, and that's one thing I try to do, is I try to talk about relapse triggers that I've either heard from other people or that I've experienced myself, so that you can see them coming. Because if you can see them coming, you might be able to avert it altogether and not even go down that path. But if you do go down that path, you know what it's about when you find yourself in crackhead mode at the store talking about with a bag of refried or with a can of refried beans.
We all go through it, man.
Yeah,
we all go through it. Mucus is a mug, man. I mean, you know, mucus is like, it's the most addictive thing known to man. You know, mucus. Not pus. Not alcohol, not the cocaine, the marijuana, it's mucus, man. That's you know, that's the king. You know, what is the king heroin? No, it's king mucus.
Yeah.
You know, so we have our bouts, man, and the way that you deal with those bouts is you stay consistent with your cleanse, with your enema. For some reason, people don't want to do the enemas every day. I do them every day. They are just like my lifeline, man, because I can feel, and I can feel the difference of me doing enemas every day. I can, because you can feel the difference, man. It's just, but see, my thing is, I don't know no other way. I don't go like a week without them. So I can feel like, man, I know what it's like to not do. No, I don't do that. So, but folks say, well, do you have a bowel movement? Man, I wake up and have 2 or 3 bowel movements before I do enema. And then I have another bowel movement thinking about making my enema. Just
right.
the
Pavlovian.
thinking about it, and I'll have a bowel movement. So, the beautiful thing about that is that your body is trained not to want filth to stay in your body.
Right.
It wants to eliminate it. I mean, as soon as you eat it, and when I'm saying filth, I'm saying even if it's a salad, or if it's some fruit, it wants to eliminate it.
Mm.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You actually can see that elimination immediately. You eat an apple, there go the apple in the toilet. Now that doesn't happen a lot with people's elimination. When they eat the apple, you see something from the next day.
Right. From a
couple days ago coming out. Yeah. So taking that cleanse very seriously is so many good things come from it. And you're cleansing your circuitry. If you think of it like that, you're cleansing your circuitry from the inside out. You're helping. You're helping your the aging process to not like decay from the inside out. And that's important, man, because Professor Spira, about looking at people and seeing bowel on them. You can look at them and see bowel all through their skin, all through their face. You can see bowel. So what you're doing with the cleanse is that you're helping your body from decaying from the inside out.
Right.
And
and that's something that, because there are circumstances in our people, because I've had different experience with the long term on the enemas where I did have to kind of pull back a little bit at a certain point physiologically what was going on. And so there's some times where, and everybody's physiology is different, so everybody's situation is what I always recommend for people to do. You read the sections in the book and then kind of deal with that. And the one thing I do recommend, I tell people, just do it every day for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Don't worry about us talking about just do it for 2 weeks. And then that'll give you a perspective of what it is, what it's about, because you ain't gonna get nothing out of it doing it once or twice.
Right.
You ain't gonna learn nothing.
A lot of times you might not even get anything.
The water might not even come back out.
Yeah.
The water go up and it get all absorbed into the old crusty,
bread
stuff.
And like a sponge.
Just
it soaks it up.
And it just sit in there.
So you'd be like, what happened? I did my enema and nothing came out.
So
well, here goes some more lemons.
Yeah. So if you're eating transition diet stuff that we talking about, and you give the enemas a shot for a couple weeks, just every day, that'll let you know where you're at. That'll let you know physiologically what's going on, and you'll get a sense of.
And I don't want anybody to hurt themselves in terms of something that's very uncomfortable, to keep doing something that's very uncomfortable to them. To me, the enema has never been uncomfortable to me. It has been a very I feel just 500 times better every time I do it. As soon as I'm done, man, I just feel just better, man, in every way. Clear thinking, just just think, the Western medicine and these hospitals, hot water bottle versus a CAT scan. Hot water bottle, $15. CAT scan, $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
What could you get more? More bang for your buck.
You're putting a lot of people out of work there.
Well,
you're healing people too easy. We can't stand for that.
That hot water bottle is so versatile.
Mm.
It has different attachments. It does so much in terms of, we're talking about chronic illness now. We don't, we're talking about this hot water bottle can handle chronic illness.
Right.
CAT scan just tells you, well, this is this, and this is, it might be good for looking at something that's tore.
Right.
Something,
right. It's like, air is diagnostic, fast for 2 or 3 days and, do your enema and see, you'll see how sick you are,
So, okay, we get into the next part of the transition. After that, there was a that was a scare for me because my eyes was messing up, man.
So when was your little fall period? Was that before you met?
Yeah, my fall period was probably, wait a minute, probably around 88, 89.
That was before your marriage.
Yeah.
So that'd have been like,
I remember
7, 8 years.
I remember my mom, man, and them calling my cousins over.
So try to remember that, just like what was you going through? What was you eating or doing right before that? And then what happened, and then what did you do about it?
I was eating a lot of cabbage. At that point, cabbage had become
it's kind of a staple.
Yeah, the staple for me. A lot of cabbage, a lot of because the raw salad, the fruit. I was doing the fruit salad that I made, and we will make that available. The fruit salad recipe.
Right.
We'll make that available to anyone who wants the Brother Air's fruit salad. So, yeah, man. And what was happening with the fall for me was that I could not literally find any energy until late night. During the day, afternoon, man, I was just like pancake. And I remember they were going to take me to the hospital, like, what's wrong, And I remember my cousin came over, and he was older than me, And he just, and me and him, we kind of could talk about diet stuff. The only ones in my family. He was the only one that I could talk like that on that level, diet and real consciousness type of stuff, And so he came in, man, and he kind of just looked at me. He said, Will, he said, you know what you're doing, man. And he just looked me in the eye, and I was kind of like looking at him like like a deer getting caught in the headlights, on the expressway. Like, look, I know what I'm doing, man. I know this was what it is. I told him, I said, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm gonna, I'm gonna be all right, man. I just got to get through this. But all I would do was just drag myself to the stove and make me an enema every day.
And to translate for folks, the fall, or what we call a fall, is what a lot of other people call like healing crisis. It's just like a period of intensive elimination, intensive just symptoms related to elimination.
It got so bad for me where I was like, you know, death, come on. Whatever it's gonna be is gonna be. You dig? And to talk about that and to talk about what I just went through just recently last year with the headache. You know, I mean, the fall, man, I mean, cleaning these temples out is not an easy process if you want to attempt to really put yourself back together again. That's why a lot of people, you know, like millions of people have the Mucusless Diet Healing System book. Very few people practice the Mucusless Diet Healing System. And the reason why is because they get to that point of they're excited, they're practicing, and then all of a sudden they get to that point of feeling weak.
And what's happening now is because the you know, the kind of the more aggressive raw food, raw fruit diets, and this is really being pushed right now. And so you're seeing people getting to that point years and years and years, way before you would ever get to anything like that on if you were practicing just transition diet as recommended by Professor Arnold Ehret. Instead of skipping over that, you would not get to that until you were very just very experienced. Like you already know how to fast. Like you're a professional faster, you're a professional transitioner, you know what to do when you start to go through elimination and get sick. But what's happening, you got people 1 or 2 years into doing whatever the, you know, a healing type of diet, and they're trying to eat nothing but grapes for 5 months or something, never transition, and then boom, you end up pancaked, and then you want to blame the fruit. Then you end up in a forum talking about fruit is evil, and the people that talk about eating fruit are evil. I mean, you know, it's like nobody told, you know, not at least not over here. No transition, no understand. That's what makes the Mucusless Diet Healing System what it is. It is a system, and it works. And I almost 99.9% could say that you're not going to get to that level of cleanliness unless you're dealing with this system. Unless you found another system that is effective like that. Yeah.
And I haven't. And if you have out there, you know, send it to us, because we you know, we're in search of.
Right.
But you know, when you're trying to really put yourself back together,
and the other message, which I always gotta try to make the disclaimer when we're talking, is that we're not telling you to do what we did. You know, we're not saying that you have to transition as fast or as slow, or this is just personal opinion and personal experiences, just relating it. So we're not saying like, well, you got to do it like this or like that.
We read the book, and we want you to read the book.
Right.
We read the book. This is the way that I practice, is based on what I got from the book.
Yeah.
You know, I follow the book to the T. I don't try to improvisate. You know, our bodies are too sensitive to be improvisating.
Yeah.
We need to deal with what folks know and have studied in terms of chronic illness, and seeing people, you know, reconstructing their bloodstream. That's what we're trying to do. And no other so-called diet tries to do that, reconstruct their bloodstream. They're trying to, you know, deal with the diet in a way that it's very fattish and you know, see, I can get into this new dress, or look at my 6-pack, and you know, we're trying to plug in the blood to this whole omniverse of vibration and frequency. we know that the blood is that link.
Right.
You know, we know that that's that link. And so the cleaner you get, see, this is 1 + 1 = 2. The cleaner you get, the more empty you get, the more that the laws of the universe fill you up with.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Those things are deep inside you. You got to clean yourself up where you can get to them. It's all, you know that the truth is there. You know what I mean? The truth is inside you. You just have to kind of get through all the waste and the filth to get to the truth. So here's a system on how to plug in. But then, you know, there's another level of people who don't want what's the movie say? You don't want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
But man, I'm telling you, it's the only thing to handle. It's the only rational reality. So we're trying to get to a real reality. America, that's not a reality. That's you know, what say, an illusion being made real. I mean, that's
reality show.
Yeah, it's sinful, man. It's and ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, man. And so how do you know it's ridiculous until you get yourself together? And that's what you know, coming back to the carnivores. You know, my mom ate meat. So my father, you know, so we're not talking about people like that, you know, like there are, you know, but we're talking about the way it's lining up. The way it's lining up, man. And what we have, especially as an adult now, I'm seeing those lines drawn in the sand. And it is very clear where the carnivores are.
Well, let's get through the peanut butter jelly phase.
Oh,
we'll come back.
Okay, well, the carnivore. We'll wait on the carnivore.
Wait on the carnivores.
I'm you know.
He's got some things to get off his chest.
Yeah,
we will do that in a second. Okay. Real quick, let me address a couple just questions. There's some folks on the chat. There says, you guys know of Alzheimer's being cured with the diet changes, lifestyle changes, and herbs. So the way that we deal with disease, I mean, we don't, if you want to talk about specific diseases, then we recommend go to a medical practitioner. If you want to talk about disease, what we deal with is healing of human illness.
But check this out. I was crazy, and now I think I'm kind of getting it together. So yeah, I had Alzheimer's at one time. I was out of my mind, you know. So
I mean,
I know what he's asking.
Yeah,
but yeah,
what we want to do is always deal with this. When you're talking about the mucusless diet, always deal with the symptoms. Like because the symptoms are real.
Right.
What you're going through is real, but these words that we attach to them, or that the establishment wants to attach to them, it's almost like it's like wearing a badge, or it's like a good way to say it would be like your prison number. You know, you go to prison, you ain't known by your name, you're known by your number.
Right.
And that's the way people treat diseases, is they say, I have such and such. And the idea is that, well, you're destined to always have that, because there's no remedy or cure. And you don't have to look too far to find dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of testimonials of people that's doing various healing, things that are related to the mucusless diet and fasting or whatever, that have overcome a lot of these different names of things, and the associated symptoms with it. So, so as far as that goes, I know that the cat that I always refer people to, if you want just sort of like real testimonials that's been working with the disease type of stuff and using the principles of the mucusless diet, you know, along with, you know, he gets a little heavier into the herbs and stuff, would be like Dr. Morris, where he had a video. One of the most impressive videos that I ever saw of his was like someone, I think it was cerebral palsy, and she hadn't walked in like years. All the doctors said she'd never walk again. And she had worked with Dr. Morris for like 6 months, and she's walking around, you know, and they had it all like on the video and stuff. And so that's really the only person that I even refer that I would send someone like, well, just check, you know, if you're interested in a specific disease name, you know, like, you know, and someone's really suffering, it's like, because you also want to work with somebody. So it don't have to be me, you know, but you want to work with, if you have a disease, you know, not a disease, but an illness or a situation or symptoms that's that deep, then you don't want to be out here on your own trying to, you know, like trying to make it up as you go along. You want to talk to someone that has already dealt with that situation and knows what the deal is and can get you on a program immediately. And so if that's a situation, you know, then like I said, if you're interested, you want to talk to me, you know, send me a message or whoever. I don't care who it is. Just make sure they know what they doing, you know. And now there's only a couple of us in the world that actually specialize specifically in the Mucusless Diet Healing System. So you sort of have to come through us if you want that type of, you know, that type of path. But that's, you know, that's up to you. Let's see, peace and love. Let's see, loving the video quality. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. We try. we try.
Say Mucus-free-life.com is getting it together. Yeah.
Let's see. In January, I did a 20-day fast. I became so healthy, but 3 weeks after, I became clogged, constipated, and with so much signs of intoxication. It's normal signs of intoxication after a long fast. So is that normal signs? Well, it depends on what you ate after the long fast. So if you went back to eating a lot of like mucus-forming items, or did he make up for the lost time? Right, yeah. So if you do the fast, and that's one reason why Eric recommends 2 to 3 day fast to start with. You know, when you're in your early days, and I know Brother Air did a lot of those 2 to 3 day fasts in those early, you know, those first 10 years and stuff, because the 2 to 3 day fast allows you to master the process of getting into and out of fast, so that when your body instructs you to do a longer fast, when you start going through an elimination, like there's a lot of people now going through, you know, because the weather's changing, it don't have nothing to do with the virus, you know, in my opinion, the viruses and all that ain't it. It's if you live someplace where there's like the atmospheric shift in the temperature shift, that creates like a push and pull effect on the body. And so the cold air hits you and it's like alkalizing. It's going to bring, it's like the hot air loosens it up, then cold air comes and it's going to pull it out of you. And you start going through
and elimination. It's time to get your flu shots. Be mindful, you know. Well, you gonna turn that on, man?
Well, you can't hear it. It is on.
Okay.
They're
okay. All right. Well,
you know,
but that's
and that's a joke, of course.
No, man,
we're not we're not fans of we're not fans of like putting in what was that, egg embryos or chicken embryos and monkey,
pig and chicken and what was it, ox embryos, something. That was, oh man, you know, Frankenstein's, man.
You know, it's like just here, you know, put this in your baby. Like, you know, like someone said that I saw a thing today that said so if vaccines work so well, then if my child don't get it, why would you be scared about your child? If your child has all the all the poison up in them, then they're immune, right? You don't have to. So if my child doesn't get it, you don't have to worry about it, you know. But that's showing you that logic. But that again, that's a whole. We don't get into that now because everybody. We like to talk about things other people don't talk about. There's a lot of people that talk all about the, you know, the government conspiracies and the control and all. So believe us, we can talk about that.
And we kind of look at that as a non-conversational piece because we don't deal with it. I mean, it never comes up. You know, we just never consider that. I mean, on no level, as far as our children, as far as us. I mean, we don't have those conversations.
Right. Because you know, we coming at this thing like outside of this. I mean, Brother Air, he's about as close to being totally outside the system and still live in an urban area that you can be. You know, just as far as and so that's a personal decision.
Totally detached. You know, trying to be detached, but somewhat, you know what I mean? It's like, and I tell you, man, what got me more attached was being involved in mucus-free-life.com because this was a social media, and so I had to, you know, what we talked about when this thing started was the web, you know, catching, you know, either you're gonna get caught in the web or you're gonna catch folks in the web.
Right.
So we made a decision to try to, you know, catch folks in the web, but not in a you know, Simon Bar Sinister type of way. We wanted to, if we were gonna catch them in the web, we're gonna have something for them,
right?
That could elevate,
try to help people.
Try to help people. So, you know, this is a part of the system, you know, and so, but as far as being able to detach, it's a core is another one. Who's totally detached. I mean, she's more so than myself.
Than right.
You know, she's more so than myself. But and so, you know, so that's kind of like what, you know, what we're doing. So you got any more questions?
There was the one that I wanted to address with someone. Now there's more questions coming up. Someone asking about fast. So when we talk about fasting, what are we talking about? So the default fast that we tend to talk about is the juice fast as discussed by Eric. So if you look in the Mucusless Diet Healing System under the section that said fasting drinks, you know, Eric was not a big proponent of dry fasting like some people think. He wasn't a big proponent of water fasting, even though his 49-day fast was a water fast. But for the common individual, the majority of people that read the book, he recommended some level of juice fasting. Now, within that context, there's a lot of different levels. You know, and mostly if you're going to call it a fast, I'd say the fruit juice level, you know, so you got the fruit juice. If you want to get more aggressive, you got your lemon juice, lemon water, lemonade. Then you got your just straight juice and
your dry fast. Oh,
well, I just said, you know, that Era didn't necessarily, he didn't really promote that for most people. So we're generally talking about juice fasting, but and this is where it gets, you know, everybody wants to label something and have it be one or the other. Everybody's real binary thinking because that's what we've been programmed. Instead of being able to be dynamic and think dynamically, we are programmed to think very black and white, very either or.
People think with and I've seen this, people who've read the book actually talk about Eric talking about dry fasting, and we know that he's not talking about dry fasting. He never talked about that. I talk to so many people who talk about dry fasting like it's straight out of the book. And I'd be like, okay, you know, it must have been Benedict Luck's book or something. You know, I missed that one.
It's just for whatever reason. Again, I can't. I don't know why. You know what? Like with people, they kind of read the book they want to read. You know, it's like the way people deal with the Bible. It's like they interpret it the way they want to interpret it to make them feel good. You know, and so I'm just kind of dealing with the book because Eric, he was. I mean, you can find those passages where he's basically saying that only the sort of the extremist or faddist think that you should only drink nothing but water, you know. So he was basically saying like the all water situation is not always optimal, you know, for where we are.
And I did the water fast for the simple fact that I wanted to know what Arnold Eric was talking about, as far as this wasn't the way. And I found out that it wasn't the way. The juice fast for me was just optimal, man. I mean, it was perfect. When Brother Air is talking about when I was trying to make the point about like the dynamic and then it's not black and white. So when Brother Air does longer fast, he'll go periods of juice and then he'll have dry periods and then come back to juice. And he pretty much kind of skips over water. He doesn't really do water fast. And he goes. I mean, I literally don't drink water at all through a fast. The only time I drink water is after I come off a fast and I'm eating. That's the only time I drink water. I don't drink water when I'm fasting at all.
Yeah. Right.
You know.
So we kind of went through your healing crisis, as people get scared if we use the word fall sometimes. So we'll say your healing crisis. And
my fall was just basically I was just in bed, man. For maybe 2 months. I mean, just, you know, and I did have a mechanism where I had money to sustain myself. So that brings us to the fall fund. You know, that's something that we want to really stress and talk about, because me and Professor talked about this, and we said, man, we should start in on that. Is the fall fund. Basically, it's a fund that you start for yourself. And, you know, if it's $5 a week or whatever.
It's like a savings account. It's like mucus-free health insurance.
Right, exactly. Much. I mean, you setting it up for yourself, because if you're gonna practice this thing, and when you do go through the fall, you don't want everything to fall apart.
And that's the thing that thinking like this is the paradigm shift. So the paradigm shift away from, okay, I'm feeling bad. I go to the doctor. They tell me I have this illness. I pay about $10,000 and get an operation or get some pills or whatever. Then I go back to work on Monday. This paradigm over here is I'm going to go through some elimination. Most of us are not going to be able to skirt by and not go through any kind of serious elimination, just in terms of just where we are physiologically. Now, I don't want to scare somebody or that kind of thing. It's just being real about our condition. I just ain't met no one that's really, you know, that's like, oh, I never. It's like, okay, well, I'll bow down, because I don't know anybody that's really in the trenches that's doing this that don't go through some serious elimination. So the paradigm shift is, instead of being prepared to spend a bunch of money on operations and pills and all this to just treat something that just maybe feel a little better and not actually heal whatever it is, you put the money away, and that is money that's allowing you to stay in bed. You know, that money is letting you, as I call it, shut it down.
Shut it down. Yeah,
and
basically shut it down.
Be able to take that time off. You know,
heal yourself.
Heal yourself.
And be to yourself and regenerate yourself. You know, this the stuff we're talking about. This ain't slave shit. You see?
Yeah.
See, we trying to have conversation about not being a slave.
Right. Right.
That's really what this is about. And so so when we talk about the fall fund, that's just, it just makes sense, man. To
just being ready.
Yeah,
you know?
being ready for, because if you're dealing with this, it's gonna happen. Some folks more severe than others.
Right.
But you know, and it just and with that fall fund, it just trains you to think more about your independence.
Mm.
So after you use the fall fund, you probably never go back to a job again, because you'll be so used.
Right.
You'll be so used to, like, wait a minute, this was kind of cool, you know, and got myself together, and I could go where I want to go, get up when I, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it's a lot in regenerating yourself and reconstructing your bloodstream in terms of not being a slave anymore.
Yeah, and the majority of folks, they have to be forced into that, like physiologically, to the point where, you know, there is so much pain and agony, and the doctors, they already went to them and already tried the pills and operations, didn't help. Then they find the Mucusless diet and they're ready, and they're like,
but they put the money into some kind of health care, right?
Yeah.
They've done exactly what we're talking about for themselves, but in the other direction.
In the other direction.
Yeah. Yeah. And normally they get jacked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they go down, they stay down.
Right.
You know what we're talking about is you're coming back up even stronger.
Right. Right.
You know, and so you want to have that fall fund so that you can elevate and regenerate yourself on the highest level. Because you know, this is Superman stuff, man. You know, you're coming back, man. You know, and you're coming back better.
Right.
You're coming back better. So okay, so on to the real last kind of transition that I really remember, and that was I went into the late middle 90s, late 90s.
Mm.
Now, mind you, I was still stimulated. I was still playing basketball, running basketball, maybe 3-4 games, 3-4 times a week. I was running hard, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was a serious athlete, played with the best cats around Cincinnati, you know, and could run, you know, could play ball, you know. And so still stimulated in that way, you know. I got into some my sweet tooth changed from eating lemon meringue pie and banana pudding and cakes to what I started at that point was peanut butter, you know, like fresh peanut butter. All it said on it was peanut butter.
Right, peanuts.
Just peanuts. Some fruit juice sweetened jelly, and toast. And I would toast, and that became my end of the day, middle of the day. You know, get up, eat my fruit. That's another thing too, is I want to talk about eating fruit early in the morning, you know, like the or your first meal of the day. That just makes sense for everybody, is to eat fruit. That should be the first thing that you eat during the day is fruit, for that laxative effect. And
unless you work in that system. If you work in the system, as Aaron's talking about, then sometimes you flip it around and you have that vegetable meal in the afternoon and fruit in the evening. And there's a systematic reason for that.
Yeah. I mean, and I just think that the fruit is the most perfect thing to eat when you wake up. If you're gonna eat something, I think it should be fruit for that laxative effect. But you know, I mean, but a lot of people, man, I'm running into so many people who have a problem with eating fruit. You know, it's like their bodies.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's, and I work with some of them, and then that's why I'm saying, like, you're always gonna be the hardcore, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying is I'm working, I'm dealing with people that can't have raw fruit, and Eric doesn't recommend. And this blew people's mind when I did this recently in the video series. Eric didn't recommend people eat raw fruit for an entire month.
Right.
You eat stewed fruit and baked fruit.
And I did eat stewed fruit for a couple of years. I went through that stewed fruit because, like I said, I was following it.
The book,
following the book, and I just found out that for me, raw fruit like an apple, love pears. Man, I think pears are like the ultimate laxative for my body. I mean, they are just, you know, great. Watermelon, of course. Hate it, you know, as far as, because it's so terrible now.
I mean the quality
of them. But man, the watermelon, honeydews. I switched to honeydews because they taste better. I mean, like, consistently taste better.
Right.
And so, so I went through this peanut butter piece. I could wake up, eat my fruit, have a mucusless meal later on, or maybe a salad early, stay mucusless all day. Stay mucusless all day. But I knew in my head that I was gonna eat this mucus at the end of the day. I was gonna shut it down. And so I did that for 4 years, man. That was until this fat lady told me, she said, hey, bro, look like you've been eating bags of cookies.
Right.
So I was sitting there, all, you know, bloated, you know, and I mean, my bloated isn't like a round bloated. It's just because I was hooping, you know. I mean, I was exercising and you know, all the time.
That's like, you was probably the perfect American image, you know, of like the perfect physical specimen.
Oh man,
of the athlete and the whole.
Oh man,
you know.
the six packs. I was lifting with some of my partners who lift. I would go over and lift with them maybe once every week or once every couple of weeks because they were doing it all the time. And so you know, so that lasted for about 4 years, man. Of no matter what, I'm gonna eat that at the end of the day, Jack.
Now, what was your fasting like through that? Did you still keep your
fasting? Always. I actually was doing an every Friday fast. And the reason why was the beginning of the weekend where I could concentrate and not get too far out, you know, with excitement for the weekend. So I always did a every Friday fast. The family actually was doing that. And every Friday, yeah. And And fasting for me was always I would do like a 10-day fast through that period. You know, I remember doing 10-day juice fast with the juicer and things like that. So yeah, but I came out of that and I did the fruit for a year. That's when I came out of that, and I was like, man, I need to get this together. And I don't know, did I do the 100 days before that?
You said you was,
I did the fruit.
I think you, or did you do the 100 days? You started doing the 100 days after
the fruit. Yeah, after the fruit, I started doing it. But I did the fruit for a year, and that was a story to tell about that, man. I never got that thin. Even on all these, 9 like years of fasting and 14 months of eating out of 9 years, never got that thin. I mean, compared to how thin I got eating just fruit.
Yeah.
And I just remember, cats was looking at me like, man, what? Yeah, but I was really thin, man. I mean, I didn't notice it because I was feeling great. I mean, and I ended up getting a bump right here. You remember that?
That's when I met Brother Air. Yeah. He had this like boil on
it was like a boil.
Neck. Yeah,
and that was from the fruit, and the elimination.
Like elimination,
of the fruit.
Brought something
and
up.
so I remember so many people telling me, man, you should get it cut off. You should get it. I was like, nah, I got this. I was like, it's getting ready, it's the enemas.
Yeah, you the enemas, and you said you did some dry fasting.
Oh,
and just
man, it was
dried it up.
No problem. But yeah, the transition, man, doing the enemas every day, doing the enemas twice a day, doing 15, 20, 25 lemons,
And again, disclaimer, you don't have to do that. This is Michael Jordan and Mucusless Diet, so be careful.
So, I mean, the boxes of lemons, 165 box would last me 2-3 days.
Yeah,
because I was hitting it, and so that was a real kind of I call that like a vitality time, man. That was like a moment, because the boycott of Cincinnati was happening, and I was a part of it. Out there protesting. I would bring the music with all the protesters. I'd be in front of everybody walking with, what I mean. It was, National Guard with machine guns, and it was a civil rights moment for me, and I was trying to slip a little poison in everybody's coffee with the diet piece, but they would get through protesting and go to Mr. Pigs and eat. It was that kind of, like I say, you can't really have no kind of movement when nobody can't have a bowel movement.
That's a good one. That's one that we need to put on a name.
So. So that was how all that kind of broke down, and why nothing really came of all that protesting and all the boycotting and shutting the city down. And, it's because of the constipation.
Yeah. Because what would you say? Y'all be protesting and face to face with the cops, and then everybody go eat it,
Mr. But well, you would see each other. You see the police and the protesters in line at the drive-through.
Yeah,
right behind
each other.
It would be that kind of dichotomy type of thing. You'd be like, oh man, this is insane, man. And I was the only one really kind of coming like that, and was, and
we to the point now where it's like like, unless you're ready for a real revolution, don't call us.
Don't bother
like,
me.
Ready,
I don't participate no more. That was my time to be in alignment with my people.
Yeah.
And my people blew it because of mucus poisoning.
Yeah.
And not wanting to really get into liberating themselves on a real level. It's like once you hear the truth, so they would hear the truth, but they really one foot in, one foot out type of mentality.
And that's
why
and I do want to, because I got an invitation to go. There's some folks that really are like at the forefront of what's going on now, and they in Columbus, and they got a organization where they dealing with like kids and all that kind of stuff, and really kind of that old model of like the bringing the kids in and really teaching them about that, and the only thing they're missing is the diet piece, like they like gotta. And so I'm gonna make that, try to make that happen, get up in there, and at least, like you said, put a little poison in coffee. But So after the fruit period, then after that, that's when it was like next level. Because now we're talking you're what, 20 years in, because I think you was 20 years in when I met you. Yeah, I think about like maybe like 22 years or something like that. Yeah. So that's when you started doing like the 100-day fast, juice fast, and it would kind of just in a real high level of just mucusless eating. When you did come back and you were eating, it was pretty much just mucus-free regimen, and would still go back to because people always gonna ask, was it all raw? No, he went back and still kind of by the book. Still had to cook vegetables, but it's pretty much mucus-free. Everything is mucus-free for the most part. Then you started going back on the fast, and the big thing about the longer fast that you would deal with, because I was there to bear witness to that, and it was along with the physiological piece, there was like a social thing going on that was kind of inspiring everybody. And so it was like there was that energy, because there's something to plug into. And a lot of people want to say, well, what we talk about spirituality or talk about like this. It's like, well, if we get into that, then we're gonna have to talk about the plug-in. Mm-hmm. And what does that mean? And what's the power of that? Because until we can exhaust and understand and master the power of the plug-in, then we ain't ready to go on to other levels of whatever it is that people want to kind of get into. A lot of the head stuff, like the head trip, like belief systems and all that kind of stuff. With the plug-in, that's something that you can't talk about that. Like that's something that you feel. And it becomes very apparent that you are in, that you're basically out of the way of the universe, and you're being animated and protected and pushed, and you're being taken care of at that point. And what you looking at?
No, I was just trying to see what time.
And so that plug-in, and that was like happening. And then you did the first 8.5 month juice fast, and then and then after that is what you've heard us talk about a lot about, where break the fast, eat for a couple months, and then get back on another fast, and
it just was constant at that point. It was like my body was going through a period where it felt better not to eat.
Right.
And I stayed with that feeling. I was like, why should I be eating? And it was just a constant fasting. And so, and you were stepping up at that point, like being inspired to do long before. And that rarely happens, I guess, where the transition And the plug-in combination was inspiring, you know, because I wouldn't have been telling him to do these long fasts, like 6 months.
Right.
At him transitioning,
like only several years into the diet, you know, like I'm like 3 years in, and I'm doing it. I mean, I'm doing what I tell people not to do, but I was inspired to do it. It was based on, like, I didn't set out to do that.
I mean, it was a lot of stuff going on that was so magical at that time that it was just blowing everybody's mind, blowing our mind.
I mean, it was.
We can sit back and talk about that, but some of the things that was happening was just magical. I mean, and it was just really like now you see it, now you don't type of
it's like thing, well, it's like, you know, do you believe in miracles?
You know?
I mean, that was that. It was
really,
there was miraculous stuff that was happening every day.
Every day,
I mean, the miraculous became normal.
Right.
You know, like that was just like, you know, what miracle happened today? You know, he was excited to get up because it was like something great's gonna happen today. And so once you have an experience like that, then you learn so much from it, and you carry it with you. So a part of that stays with you as long as you don't veer too far off the path. You know, you'll never forget that, and that becomes a part. So a lot of like this, what we're doing now. I mean, we still listening to music that we made in that era, that stuff. I mean, we still listen to that, like that's like we just did it yesterday, and feel the vibration of it, and a lot of the energy. I mean, that's still happening now is like an outgrowth of that particular period, you know. So that was just like a serious like renaissance.
It was now.
Yeah.
What we were celebrating then was what we have developed now. Because we knew it was coming.
Yeah, we was talking about it then.
We were talking about it then. You know, we knew all this was coming, and what you know, and we're a little light on the load as far as the group of us. That started, but you know, the nucleus is still there. You know, I mean, but you know, everybody, you know, it's not here. You know, so and for reasons, because like we say, this is the path less traveled. You know, less traveled. This is the path, and a lot of folks, man, you might go down this path and not see nobody for 1,000,000 miles.
Right.
And so that means that you have to really get used to a certain level of solitude. That's not what they preach in America, is solitude. Crowds and company and you know, and just being the being big man on campus, and you know, and all that. So but we understand that solitude is a necessary it's necessary.
Very necessary
to get this thing together and to try to figure out your next move and how you're gonna navigate yourself,
because
inside of all this noise.
Because there's a, you know, when you're around other people, there's a different energy, and there's like a stimulation. Now, I'm not saying be around other people's because I'm kind of a loner. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, you know, when people grow up, like I'm an only child, so I kind of grew up, I was forced into solitude, whether I wanted, you know, liked it or not. And so I sort of developed in that manner. But when people don't, what I just observed is that the energy of being around people that's like, you know, that's close to your age, or like siblings, and, you know, you're sort of in an environment where everybody is kind of together in that family kind of vibe. I mean, that's beautiful, but you sometimes don't get the opportunity to develop that solitude. Like, you don't have the opportunity to develop a strong inner dialogue with yourself, because you have someone to talk to,
right?
You know, so you develop in dialogue always with other people, and you get addicted to that. You know, you get addicted to, like, man, I always gotta be plugging in, you know, to other people. And so when you learn how to deal with the solitude, like we were just talking about. Then when you plug into somebody else that's on the same wavelength, you know, now is a whole other thing.
Right.
You know?
I mean, this is, and when you start to, you know, get out of this delinquent type of mode, and you start to study consciousness, you start to, you know, start opening books. I mean, there were times, man, I was reading 3 and 4 books. I mean, big books in a week. I mean, I was just in the information.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the diet people, all of the historians, the black, you know, the African historians. Even I was just telling my son, I said, man, I was studying so much Greek, you know, was that because they were the ones with the information, because the books of Alexandria was all burnt up. So the Greeks were the ones who were studying with the Egyptians. So they're the ones who had the knowledge.
Yeah.
So you had to, you know, I mean, we talking
there's a whole history. Yeah.
You know, so I mean, that was the way I kind of focused myself, and I got so much from that in terms of physiology and what place that was in Black folks' existence. And so she had to go through other people to find that information, because our information was so buried. But the one thing that we did find out is how to get to the information that's buried. Is you got to practice the Mucusless Diet Healing System. You got to clean yourself up, and that knowledge of the universe is inside of you.
Right.
But you got to be empty.
Right. And you get attracted.
You got to be empty.
And for me, you know, when I was getting into longer fasting and that kind of stuff myself, it was like just to keep my mind elevated on self-development and learning things and studying and dissecting and analyzing. That helped me fast, you know, just sort of like the energy level of that. And I give an example. It's like, because we be talking about that. It's like, well, here's an example. This is what I got checked out of the library right now. This is a college. These are college courses. And you heard me talk about these, the great courses. You can go to any library and they should have a bunch of these. There's thousands of these. These are entire college courses on either DVDs or CDs. This is called, this is how ideas spread. So this is like, you know, psychology, sociology kind of analysis, talking about what we're trying to do right now here. Right. Talk about these ideas, you know, the paradigm shift and exposing the weaknesses in the way we used to think, and exposing new ways to think and analyze.
And this brother did this when we first met. I had all this information, and he went through all that information. He literally took the stuff home. I allowed him to take it home, and he literally went through volumes of stuff. You know, I mean, he can talk about stuff that I don't even remember.
Right.
I was on some of that stuff, because it was just so much, you know, just volumes of stuff. And we laugh about the old blues, video. Where the guys is on the railroad track.
Yeah. I was watching that the other day.
Hey, boy, that's some real Black folks. You know, so I mean, so yeah, he did that, but at the same time, it was like, look, man, if you're interested in this stuff, because I developed all that stuff for folks to study. That's why I developed all that stuff. That's why I was saving all that stuff. And here he came along, and you know
the Miles Davis radio show. We wore that.
We wore that out. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I saw him.
Yeah,
I was there.
I was there. Yeah. So I mean, history, man, really gives you a real stern foundation on a belief system. You dig? About like we practice the Mucusless diet, and we have a belief system that we stand on based on consciousness and based on us knowing a history, our history, you know, and not the history that's been taught to us by our captors, but us trying to, you know, use 1 + 1 type of logic and figure this out and say, well, this must have been like this if this was like this. You know, we were just talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the Wall Street, you know, and black folks, white folks, whoever that don't know this story and the real history, like really study this stuff. Just don't read a little paragraph Google type of thing. Really understand what was going on there. And you're talking about a paradigm for the future. That was like, wait a minute. Here, because you can make an argument for seeing someplace like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then the argument of us getting at more and more education, and we would be better off. Where you see we got more and more education, more of us, more black folks have been educated with more higher learning degrees, and we're worse off than we ever been. Our community is in devastation. So here these folks had developed a whole community.
Whole thing, yeah.
Had hotels, train, railroad,
banks.
Yeah, banks. And, you know, inside of this community. And what school did they go to? You see, and we you know, we're talking, you know, Garvey movement, all this, you know, all these things. So, but you know, we're talking about folks who wasn't as constipated. You can only get that kind of stuff done when you're not constipated.
Right.
You dig? And that's not saying that these folks didn't eat meat.
Yeah.
But what we're saying, these folks wasn't glutton, and they were still, like we say, a fraction. They wasn't a fraction of a fraction like we were, you know, in a bad way.
Right.
They were still dealing with the land. You know, they could go out and see an apple tree. They was tilling the land, working their own. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They were so close. They were still close to nature. That's the key, man, is to not get too far away from nature. And that's what's done happened to us.
Right.
Is we done got so far away from nature. We're like, we think we're a separate entity. And you just everywhere you look, you don't see nature. You see concrete.
And that's
a
telephone poles. I mean, if you want to say a disease,
wires
that's the
disease.
You know, that's a mental illness. You know.
Yeah, that's psychopathism. That's your psychopath. You completely have immersed yourself in psychopathism. And it's like abnormal has defined what normality is.
Right.
You think this shit is normal.
Right.
You see, and so thanks, Professor Arnold Air, for the work that he did with trying to put himself back together again. So yeah, I mean, you know, that's now can we talk about carnivores?
Okay, well, let's answer a couple more questions.
Oh, okay. All right.
We'll follow up with the carnivore. So someone's talking about, it worked with someone coming out of the Dr. Morris and they had a specific disease, and they were recommended to do 60 days fruit, probably with, you know, a bunch of herbs and two. And they said, is she crazy? My cravings exploded. Yeah, that's why I don't, you know, I don't recommend what Dr. Morris recommends in terms of just methodology. You know, I deal with the Mucusless Diet Healing System with really extreme cases if I think it'll help, because I have tried all the different herbal formulas. You know, I pretty much tried all his herbal formulas. I studied, I mean, that's something I did over really the past 5 years. I studied herbology. I don't really talk about it because there's such a focus on it and an addiction to it that I see with people, whether they're coming out of the CB people or Dr. Morris or whoever they're coming out of, everybody's relying on these formulas and all this stuff, and they're not dealing with the fundamentals of fasting and transition. There is a place for that, because Eric talked about herbs, you know, so there's a place for it. And I would, and on a one-on-one basis, I would deal with that if I think it'll benefit somebody. But as far as 60-day without no transition in out, that would never be recommended for me. Because what I tend to do is put people on the classic transition diet, you know, for at least 2 weeks, where you just like, all right, we transitioning, getting into, and that's going to include the cooked food. So that's going to be different from the other people. It's going to be on there, it's transition, and then we get into a 2 to 3 day fast, like Eric recommended. So then when you start talking about I deal with the symptoms. So it's like, okay, well, you can tell me the name of whatever the disease is, but I'm gonna then ask you, well, what are your symptoms? Not what they told you have. What is hurting you now? You know, what hurts? What's not functioning properly? And that information is the most important, because that's the information that's going to tell us what we need to do in terms of fasting, dietary change, enema frequency, sunbathing frequency, exercise frequency, herbs. That's the information we need, the symptoms and what's going on there. So I mean, so that's always been my thing. Like I do dig a lot of what Dr. Morris has done and said and stuff. And if you really look at his, if you really look at like his book and his stuff is really modeled after the Mucusless Diet Healing System in terms of the eating. Their eating process is pretty much, you know, it's either fruit all day, it's like fruit all day, or like the fruit meal. And if you're gonna have a vegetable meal, have like a raw salad at night, kind of thing. So and he cites there, you know, in the back of the book and that kind of thing. But what I've seen is a lot of the folks that come out of him in terms of what they get from his videos and from the teaching, it becomes a very aggressive, no transition component whatsoever. And to me, that's a total missing link in terms of, because I can always put somebody on a more aggressive regimen. It's not hard to put together aggressive protocols for people. But what's hard is how is this person, when they come off of whatever aggressive regimen, how can you give them the foundation so that they don't go all the way back to eating whatever it is that put them in that condition in the first place? You know, so for me, that's a top priority. Just straight transition. And so yeah,
another one.
I said, long-awaited Brother Air and Professor Spira combo at a wonderful level of inspiration and education. Thank you. Well, thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, man.
See, that's a ranker.
Anybody we know?
It was a couple folks up here. Let's see. Now the question: besides enemas, have either of you done other types of colon cleanses, rise and shine, colonics, etc.? Yeah, I mean, and for my thing is, because a lot of people say, well, what about if I'm doing the herbs? Like, to me, the herbs is just like, you can't compare that to the enema. It's its own thing, and it's important over here. It's thing. You know, if you do, whether you do air, it's inner clean, or comparable herbal bowel formulas like Dr. Morris's number 2 or 3, but whatever you do, because some of the items that Eric told you to put in interclean are actually illegal now. You can't even get them in the United States. A couple of those, but that's separate. And I've experimented with all variations of that, as far as just like the herbal bowel versus the enemas. And like I said, it's different. You can be doing them both at the same time. So that's that. And colonics, did that a little bit. And but I always came back to the enemas because that was just because of the lemons, that just kicked it up a notch. And I saw the benefit of the consistency, just sort of that regular, being able to kind of regularly do it. But so this question, how do y'all address nutrient deficiencies in Mucusless diet? Y'all take supplements? No, we don't. We just don't even think like that. Like, we don't think about in those terms of like nutritional deficiencies. We think of it in terms of constipation, cellular constipation, not just bowel constipation, but an entire clogging up of your body. So until we deal with that entire clogging up, we ain't going to have a perspective on a nutrition concept anyway, because we're encumbered. And so our focus is on encumbrance. And what tends to happen is when people they might go through eliminations or have symptoms that will be related to what people would say is a deficiency. But usually there's a gland weakness or an organ weakness. There's something that we could look at. But the foundation of all that is going to be some level of constipation, and out of that constipation can come the destruction and the atrophy of a gland or an organ or that kind of thing. And it ain't going to function properly. Then you're going to have issues. And so, but what we found is, fasting, as Eric calls it, omnipotent healing modality for humans, for animal life. And when you fast properly, a lot of those kind of symptoms can go away when you're dealing with that. Now, I know what some people say, like, well, I know somebody or they themselves, they got into a point where maybe they had this unstoppable brain fog, or they was going through whatever they was going through, and they took some kind of supplement and they felt better for a time. And it's like, well, I mean, if that's work, the problem with that is you probably didn't heal anything. Because most people that do that, they keep going back to it, and I know Brother Air, he hasn't taken a supplement in 35 years or, I mean, that just hasn't been a part of his thing at all in terms of the Mucusless diet. And so, and I've experimented with things a couple times just in the spirit of Eric's experimentation of like, well, what does this do? Like, just so I can talk about it and say, all right, look, I did it. No, it didn't do anything,
Right.
not anything good. And I didn't feel any different on that versus when I'm not on it, and so that'll be another video. We can actually get a little deeper into that. Study the history of nutrition. That's what I kind of recommend to people. Check out Atwater, the cat that created the calorie meter, and you kind of read all those early texts in the Francois Magendis of the world and the Mulder, and you can kind of just go through all that. And if you go, and we're not telling you to believe what we believe or not believe, we just saying study it, and you come up with your own decision based on what you studied. If you go through all that history.
And we've made this our life. This is our life study. This is what we do. I mean, this is not something like a sidebar or something. This is what we do. We enjoy finding out information, Spira gets information and hits me up, or I get information. Hey man, check this out. You know, man, we get to discussing it. I mean, it's just a love thing about information.
Yeah.
You know, it makes you stronger. You know, you feel like you're getting, you know, stronger, and you're getting more vitality when you know more truths. You know, and it makes sense.
Right,
know?
right.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
So all right. So let's you know, we'll start nearing our end grand finale, and what Brother Air wants to talk about.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it needs that kind of build up. Talking about carnivores and the meat eaters,
yeah,
versus those who don't eat meat, and almost.
I mean, you basically talk about like
mucus
socializing.
Well,
with
we're talking about carnivores and heavy mucus eating people. Almost, you know what I mean? Like I got to include them in there. You know, a lot of that soy vegetarian type of mentality, but let's deal with the carnivores. You know, those the meat eaters, and trying to maintain a relationship with them has been very difficult, based on years of knowing them. You know what I mean? Even when I was eating meat, I might have known them that long, you know. And so, you know, to cut folks loose, which you know, it's just a hard type of process, but you just see that you just don't groove together on no subject. And what I started figuring out is that if we were to socialize, is they could always be themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
They could always be themselves in any social situation. I always would have to.
Right. If you going into their thing.
Right. You're right.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's been something, man. You know, watching that, man, and having some folks who are close and having to cut them loose, which I have, you know, kind of, you know, cut folks loose and you know, and it just feels better. It just, you know what I mean? It just feels better to, you know, they on that side of the street, I'm on this side of the street. You know what I mean? I don't want to smell your barbecue. You know what I mean? You know, it's like no one has that kind of consideration. You know, like, but if I play loud music, it's that kind of thing. They'll call the police.
Right. You playing.
But if they're barbecuing and the smoke is coming out into my space, and the dead animal, you know, like the
sweet smell of the morning sacrifice.
The people, you know. They're barbecuing the people.
Yeah.
You know, part of the culture. So that's been something that I've really had to take notice and just know that that you just can't groove, man.
What's funny to me is, I mean, he taught that to me years ago, and then I kind of took it to an extreme at first, you know, and then I kind of came back from it. But yeah, I pretty much, as far as socialize, I don't, you know, like I deal with, you know, my family members and that kind, but I still don't. You know, I don't spend a lot of time doing like a lot of activities and stuff that where the food is, and they already know. Don't call me. You know, I ain't coming to restaurants and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And like,
and you kind of, I notice how you kind of take them out of their place.
Yeah.
And bring them into
bring
your
them
world.
into my world. Yeah.
So I mean that's kind of like the way that to do it. And I've just had problems with being very angry. You know, finding myself being angry at them for not being considerate to ever change or to ever want to be in any kind of other setting. And they don't have respect for creation. And they are pretty much set on being slaves. You know, I mean, they love being, you know, like I always say, it's one thing about being a slave, it's another thing about being a happy slave. that's
Is we sick, boss? Is we happy?
And these jobs, man, it's like, man, that's slavery, man. What's that stand for? A job? That's the slave. You're a slave. You know.
Well, what they say, you know, stress is working hard on something that you don't want to do, and passion is working hard on something that you love, that you want to do.
That you want to do, yeah. So, and they feel like they are stuck there. You know what I mean? Like I just, you know, and they love the benefits, man.
Well, the whole society is built on that premise of, I mean, it's like, you know, Brave New World type of, you know, pick your poet, Brave New World 1984, you know, whatever you want to deal with. But it's like 9 to 5 or whatever your job, and if you don't like it, then, but you've been sort of programmed to not worry about not liking it, just you have to do it for money. Then you get off work, and then it's what I say about using socializing as a stimulant, as a drug. And then it's time to socialize with drugs. So socializing itself by itself without drugs is stimulating. Then you add a happy hour to it, and you throw the alcohol in there, throw the weed in there. You know, and a lot of there was
the bad food.
Well, and the bad food. But I was thinking of there was an image. You know, in Ohio, all these people are ODing on heroin right now. There's a heroin epidemic in, you know, in the boonies of Ohio, and there was this man and this woman in the front seat dead from heroin overdose, and the kid is in the back just like what's going on, like thinking they're sleeping, and somebody came and took a picture of it. So I mean, it's madness, and that's the kind of thing like when people want to look at us and talk about, oh, well, we're crazy and it's all this kind of stuff. I'm like,
what's going on with the heroin is just the crack epidemic in vanilla.
Yeah,
that's what's happening. But you see the reactions of the society,
the media, and stuff.
Is their thing is about getting help. You know, what is that, Narcan? And things like that they've developed to bring these I mean, like literally there's been stories of some people overdosing in their cars. The cops come and give them Narcan, get them back, and they get in their car and drive off. Now, with that, if you got caught for DWI, what is it, DWI, like driving while intoxicated? Yeah. Would they let you get back in the car and finish on driving to wherever you were going? But that's what they're doing, because this has this is in vanilla. You know, this. So so we see, man, like. Yeah, but that represents pus.
That's what I was gonna say. That the point was pus and mucus poisoning. It's all connected, because you can't have a heroin addict unless you have pus and mucus body.
Carnivores.
Carnivores.
This is how they live. This is what we have to be a part of if we're gonna try to, be a part of this whole, the workplace and, and things like that. So
yeah. So yes, I mean, that, what we talking is like, it's you might even said this years ago, where it's like one of our round tables, someone said this, maybe it was Twizzy or something, but it was like years and years ago, our ancestors were talking about freedom and how we could work to get the freedom. And we're talking about that. We're still having them conversations of freedom. How do we free ourselves? Because it's body, mind, and spirit. So we talk about the diet part, but when you start hearing us, like, that's where we're different from all this other people that you probably see on YouTube. It's talking all the, a lot of them, they'll package it real neat and cute. And, it's like, oh, that's a cute strawberry. Look at my picture of my strawberry. Like they make it real cute and fun and all that kind of stuff. And we coming at it like, man, we're tired of slavery. This ain't,
nothing
it ain't
pretty about
it ain't
it.
nothing cute about it.
Nothing pretty about it. And
you look at the toilet like, oh man, that is not cute.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to get free, man. So this is a whole different thing that we come in with you in terms of
about it. Nothing to celebrate. What I call it, I always talk about. We just have an abundance of celebrations of ignorance.
Yeah,
I mean, we love to celebrate our ignorance, and so
Huss times, come on.
So I mean, that's kind of where we at with the carnivores. It's becoming very clear, that we're gonna have to shake them, man. We're gonna have to, what do you say, build a new world. and that's going to be like, the border, where you can't bring, dead animals.
Right. Yeah. Like that's that's the new,
yeah.
I mean, when you start seeing nations as no dead animal, killing an animal is like, like I said, come into my prison,
right.
Come to my institution. And,
right.
You will leave rehabilitated.
Oh, yeah,
I guarantee.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of like where that is, and it was another thing I wanted to talk about as far as the carnivores, and because I was in the middle of a woman's discussion. It was kind of one of those Ask Brother Air discussions with a women group, But they were talking about parasite. They were talking about sexually transmitted diseases based on the women who were cleaning themselves up, practicing the Mucusless Diet, or vegan, or dealing with men that wasn't. That was passing, the men were passing along parasites. And so the parasites can lay dormant for years. The woman could be eating clean, doing enemas, just doing her thing, but the parasites, a few of them still in there, and all of a sudden they get deathly sick. And they're wondering. So and that, that's another problem that I think we think of sexually transmitted diseases like gonorrhea and syphilis and crabs and just things like that, herpes, but we don't think about dealing like that, and women and men who's gonna sleep with a woman who's not done her homework, or work on herself.
Yeah. Well, it was like, would you say if all women would refuse to have relations with someone
we could change the community.
We could change
overnight.
The world overnight.
Right. Yeah, the community would change overnight if they would shut it down.
Like, you can't, if you if you if you touch the chicken leg, you can't touch my leg.
Okay, right, yeah. And so yeah, I mean the power that women possess, they really don't use it to the ability that they can for change in our society, and that's a good change. Nobody's asking you to corrupt anybody,
right?
But and you would be better off, and you would have better children out of it. You wouldn't be dealing with all this poison and all this all these kids with these letters behind their DCD and ACD and DDD and
right.
BBD and
and
BBD and whoever they are. But you're gonna get a better quality of embryo,
right?
If both people are coming together and trying to produce genius.
I mean, and that's the real work. I mean, that's the real work that we talk about. I mean, that's the building of,
that's the work.
Because everybody's real focused on themselves, and they're all like, "I'm trying to get, I want to get clean, or I want to." It's like, nah, you want to get clean so that you can find a partner to get clean and have a child, and that's clean, and that clean
now,
child
that's the
keep
work.
Working.
See,
that's
work.
Work, yeah.
That's real work. Because now you gotta wait. You ain't finding them at Kroger's every day when you walking in the store, and you see a chick you hitting on. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You gotta work. And I always say, man, even with Spira, man, I had to wait till he was born, man. Somebody come along and wanna, like, okay, man, like this is your mission. If you, like
choose to accept
it, and so the same with females. Man, we gotta wait till they're born, and they come along, and really start wanting to live this thing, and wanting to reproduce geniuses and elevate, the whole society, because that's the kind of thing that elevates the whole society, man. When you go into it with the idea of being the change that you want to see, but you got to do the work. You got to do the work, man, and because this isn't some, some 10-day cleanse.
Yeah.
There's maple syrup and cayenne pepper, and we're ready to go.
Right.
10 days, we're ready. Okay, so that's that's kind of like where that is, man. So yeah, man. I think we've covered a lot, man.
I think we covered a lot. Time for some music. Oh, give a shout out to Janan Al-Jahani and her very nice jewelry. I'm featured. Wearing the lovely.
Is that coming back or what? What's happening?
It might be.
Been complaining that they were looking for. They were looking for some more. You took it off the site.
I know, and that's why people gotta when you see that, like, we ain't lying. Like, if we say it's a limited time.
Okay.
Be warned. Don't take it for granted that it's gonna be there. You gotta act now, and so it's a possibility that it's gonna be coming back. So just stay. Make sure sign up to. Look down below. There's a link to sign up for the Insiders Club. That's where you'll get a lot of information about the goings on and special deals and sales, and you'll be on the forefront of what's going on to get those messages. Sign up for that, and you get that's the thing that says get for the top 10 mucus-free foods list. You can see my top 10 mucus-free foods, download, and then you automatically be put on the Mucus-free Insiders Club. Yeah, there's a lot. It's, if you don't have the Mucusless Diet book yet, what you're doing, get it. But a lot of people getting it. There's like, because it's like the word is getting out now.
Yeah,
man. The word is getting out, and people are getting passionate about telling other people about the information, and they're starting to do it.
It's the book,
and so I'm just happy to see that it's just spreading, it's getting out there, and it's.
Are there any more questions, or want to take one more from somebody we know? Is there anybody want to do some shout outs to some people?
I mean, most these are a lot of new,
these
some new folks, newer folks, or folks that have been around a long time, but maybe not have said anything.
Well, how y'all doing? Hi.
This was a swim. Was asking. I'll find let's see, like your feedback on, Mucusless diet for a couple months and now transitioning. I need help coming up with protocol for when I break and have potato chips, for instance. How do I counter that indulgence? So I was working with someone that sort of has this potato thing and potato chip thing. And what I recommended, which has worked for this person, I think so far, has been sweet potato chips. Which is like gonna be 10 times better than the white potato chips, and
they have the salt free of that too.
Yeah, I mean, you can do the salt free, or you can get the barbecue ones.
So
it's just the transition.
The more spices is on them, with the no salt, it's kind of just the sweet potato chip.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do the honestly, I couldn't do the no salt one. I still had to have something on it, and then I'd put my own onion, like I put onion powder and garlic powder on it.
Oh, okay.
And they'd be the salted ones, but because when you coming from, I mean, when you craving a potato chip,
you want a potato chip.
If it's at that level, then So I mean, that's where that is. But so that's an option.
But that was almost like when I for me, the transition, part of my transition was not putting sugar on my cornflakes.
Right.
That was big for me.
Yeah. It's like you decide where to take those, where to take those steps, where it makes sense to do that. And there's other options. I mean, I'd rather see someone eat plantain chips than potato chip, and that's sort of like if the sweet potato ain't enough and you want something that's like, all right, I need some starch, but you want it to at least maybe eliminate, then the plantain chip is an option. I got more recently, I never did this years ago, and they weren't really available years ago, but I found something that helped me deal with my corn chip addiction is some of them kale chips. They make these little gourmet kale chips, and they got all kinds of, they mastered seasoning these things. They know how to season them to make them taste like whoa. And so that's been helpful for me. So there's a lot of different things like that in terms of you dealing with the snacky type of stuff. You can sort of find alternatives that eliminate better. Not perfect, but it's better, and so that's all we trying to do is just some incremental changes, just get used to better. And then before you know it, you won't want the old thing anymore, or if you clean yourself up enough and you go back to the other thing, you'll get so sick, you'll be like, I ain't doing that again. So that's that. Let's go down and see. I see a mucus. What? I see a mucusless dating site in your future.
Whoa.
I mean, people been talking about that. I'm not gonna put it together, but somebody will.
Well,
somebody's probably they thinking of they doing it right
disastrous. Just listen to that, man. A mucusless dating site. How many people would be on that site? About two, two guys maybe, But
I don't know. But you'd be surprised. I mean, there'll be people that probably find a way to that because again, that's the social. People love the social thing.
Well, I know they'll find their way, but I'm just saying, the mucusless part.
Well,
How honest would we have to be with the mucusless dating site? Come on.
Yeah.
Like I say, that would be a very few people's site,
Yeah.
And then that site would be interrupted with folks on the fall. Having
well, but
fall.
that's, I mean, if someone, but you
Right.
would have to have, I mean, you would have to put it together where it was based on those principles of, of people that halfway understand the lifestyle, and that's why we ain't had nothing like that.
Okay, so one of the ways you would put that together, you would say was, we don't go to restaurants. So our first meeting would not be at a restaurant for dinner.
Right.
Would that be something that it could be considered?
I mean, maybe it depends. It depends on.
I'm just throwing out things, but
because there are some mucusless diet practitioners that still go to restaurants,
right? And I mean, there's these vegan restaurants and these loving huts and places like that people, want to check out. But there would be that site would really be interesting to see how they would set that up, man.
I mean, it's coming. It's probably closer than you think. Like it's coming.
I won't be a part of it.
It is coming. But just that whole, so we'll observe.
So there won't be no dates for Brother Air on that one. So So we said that we were gonna do some music today, and we are jazz musicians, and we don't get a chance to play a lot of jazz lately, what I mean, because we're doing real avant-garde type of stuff,
or is that either street funky R&B stuff, or
stuff like that,
avant-garde stuff.
So we wanted to play some real, like, maybe some straight ahead jazz, just some kind of standard. I bought in the a little snare drum with these. These are called brushes. These are a lost art. A lost art in terms of the drummers nowadays playing them, but
you might need to change because I'm gonna sound better in that.
Okay, all right. Well, you want to change?
Yeah.
Want to change stools?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if that's too low.
I mean, it's higher.
Oh well, that's cool. I can bring it down. But I mean, so these are brushes, and you kind of play these with a certain attitude on the drum head. You kind of have to develop. There's little. I don't know if you can see that. I don't think I'm getting that in, but there's little ways of playing at certain angles and things.
Actually, what I should do is move this over here so I can get by the keyboard.
So now we move it again.
Switch. Yeah.
Okay. So we're moving chairs again.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Remind you, this is mucusless now. This is the mucusless decision. We'll do some kind of up too.
Yeah, so just start it up. Yeah, and I'll jump in. All right. A little mucusless music. A little mucusless music. And now that I'm warmed up. But
yeah, man.
Yeah.
So we hope folks dug that. That was a little extra.
Yeah, a little something.
Something, you know. So we indulged ourselves. We hope we didn't annoy you. So yeah, man. Any parting words, I guess?
I just appreciate you guys checking us out. Visit Mucus-free-Life.com. See what we got to offer in the store section. A ton of free information. Check out the blogs, the live feeds. Kind of check out the menu. You can see a lot of links to just a lot of stuff out there that's out there. You check out the books. We got 5 books currently. Annotated Mucusless Diet, Spira Speaks, Rational Fasting, Thus Speaketh the Stomach, Definite Cure for Chronic Constipation. Have an audiobook version of the Annotated Mucusless Diet that's available. You can get into MP3 download, CD version. We got consultation packages. You can check that out. It's just a lot of stuff happening. If you want to get into the Facebook support group, send me a message. Send me like a private message on. You can go to Professor Spira Facebook fan page and send me like the fan page and then send me a private message, and I kind of put you to the front of the line. There's actually a long line to get into the group, but I don't like to bring too many new people in there at a time, so that because sometimes you got weed folks out. Sometimes people aren't quite right for the group, and they usually kind of take themselves out after a certain period of time. So if you want to get in there and you just notice that you ain't been let in yet, just send me a message and I'll get you in. But yeah, just the name of the game is just keep on doing what you need to do in terms of your transition, putting health at the forefront and transformation at the forefront, and moving forward with courage, because this path that we're talking about is really a courageous path. There's other paths that you can go down where they telling you that how easy and how fun it is and all that, and if that's what you're attracted to, then that's beautiful. But we're real over here, and we're saying that if you really do this thing in a real way, then everything is going to challenge you on all levels, not just diet, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, socially, all these things that we was talking about, dealing with the social stuff. It's just the real deal as far as I'm concerned. That's all I can say. Yeah. It's the real deal. So
it's the best way to say to your mate, if you're with someone, that you love them, that you are trying to give them something in terms of yourself, in the best package, in the best way that you can. This is love, man. This is pure love, and a testimony of that is to show yourself to your mate that you love them, man. This is by getting yourself together, man, by practicing this thing and really really kind of exhibiting how much you truly love her or you love him is based on preparing yourself for him and you know and really giving yourself you know, I mean, you can just imagine just, you know, having as a man, a woman, or a woman and a man, just having somebody, man, who's done the work. You know, you're just not worried on no level that this person is not going to infect me, you know. And so, yeah, and thanks for all of the folks who inbox me all the time and ask me things and really respect what me and Professor do and want the advice, you know, and just want to know what we're doing in terms of our transition. You know, I thank all y'all folks on the forum. Got a chance to meet Randy Dickerson. He came through town and we hooked up and spent time. And Spira got a chance to talk to him too. And but he's another dynamic practitioner that's very serious, very impressed with him. We had talked on the phone a few times and had you know, Facebook type of dialogue, but to meet in person, this dude is just a class act, and he's just really a plug-in, you know. So you know, just all the other folks, man, that you see, the Tobins and Sarah T's, Danny, that's my cat. Thanks for coming down and spending time with Spira down in Sacramento. You know, that
Bo, you just left a message. I love you both.
Hearts. Yeah. She's kind of like the new Duracell, you know. Boy, you plug into her, boy, she's done infected us both, me and Spira, with energy we didn't know we had. She's, you know. So yeah, boy, we really love your energy and love what, you know, like she bought. I think I hit her once. I told her she bought fun to the Mucusless Diet.
Yeah,
you know,
the fun.
You know, and so yeah. So, you know, all those folks, man. I think Doug just had a birthday. Yeah, George's birthday, right? Tonight. Or today, then happy Earth Day to Georgia. I'm gonna call you, Georgia, because I know I owe you a call, and you know, all the folks.
And I hope Janon's feeling better. She's going through a little elimination.
Oh, is she?
You know,
okay.
so she just and what she do fast, you know.
Yeah,
so it's getting better, you know.
Well, you know,
so,
Janon, boy, that's some serious hip action. Janon, boy, with the hips, you know, you got to get them well, you know. So yeah, we hope you feeling better, you know. And so yeah, all those folks, man. I think I met Sarah T and there's some new folks on the forum, man. That's been really really intelligent, you know, with some thought-provoking type of stuff. So yeah, man, you know. So I'm just glad I'm up here with the professor, doctor, and his stuff is all around. You make sure you you see how we're gonna get rid of this though back here. Because I'd seen this for years. I was like, man, we got to get rid of
that has sentimental value.
This Daniel Boone is just going to stick his head out of the woods somewhere, you know. So we got to get rid of that. We're going to put something else up, you know.
He wants to get rid of my
sentimental
token
of yeah, man, that's kind of like, you know. But other than that, man, I just had a ball tonight. So I hope that we said some things that maybe make you think about and go study some of this stuff, and kind of check us if we're not right, and on the where you can write in something at the bottom, write something, like
say
like
what's
you
up.
like this, or kiss our ass, or whatever. Just at least give us, some shout outs or whatever, and say something. If you didn't like it, we sorry, man. But that's the only way we can come.
We just us, this is like to be honest. And, this is what you see is what you get.
What you get, yeah. And, but this was beautiful. Thank you, Professor, for inviting me up to your space, man. And
well, thank you for joining.
Yeah.
Joining me, and got a chance to give them the full.
They want to see my eyes. I guess I can stand about 7,000 watts of light for a few minutes while we're taking them out. But,
yeah. So all right. Well, I thank all of you for tuning in. Like we said, hit the like button for us. Subscribe to the Insiders Club. Share this video with your friends and family, and folks on the social media. Anything you do like that, or with the content, it just helps. It helps grow awareness. It helps people learn about what the message is, and get a better understanding, so that there's not so much misinformation and misunderstanding as there is with Eric's work, which like we were talking about earlier, it's just not necessary. It's not necessary anymore for there to be so much misunderstanding. And we won't always necessarily agree on a particular interpretation of Eric's words or this, and our practice might, you contribute things and change, so we're not, some people try to accuse us of being like, real, like rigid in the sense of we're just, the book and this. It's like, look, we got to start from somewhere. So we saying you start from the book. We don't start from the idea of Eric. That's what some people try to do. They try to start from the idea of the myth, of and the legend of the man, and what people had told them. And they'll literally try to practice Mucusless diet based on the legend of Arnold Ehret. Like that in itself is wrong half the time in terms of the content. And so what we're saying is, like you do in a 101 class, is you deal with the textbook. And once you master the textbook, like Brother Air said earlier, then you have the tools. You start making it up as you go along. You start to improvisate, but not until you have a mastery of the fundamentals. And that's what I'm always communicating, and that's what I stress in the group. And I know there's people that's been around a little longer that are wanting more advanced discussion and more advanced, and it's gonna come as the need truly emerges. But my thing is just the fundamentals, and so I stay there, and I hope that folks can dig it. And so like we say, it's about doing the work. And so hope that you are able to just find the courage, find the passion, and like I said, do what you want to do in terms of your passion, and really follow that. And that in itself helps you practice Mucusless diet. It's a lot easier to practice when you're doing what you're passionate about than when you are kind of doing what somebody else is passionate about. Right. And so all right. So any last words?
Shout out to Renee Henry. What's up, Renee?
Yeah. Most definitely.
Another, co-worker.
Yeah.
So, other than that, there was something that I wanted to say, but I was trying to think it was something to what you had said. But yeah, man, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, it's been a great session. It's been a while since we had a nice like 3 hour, you know, however long it's
No,
been.
no videos popping out.
Yeah, no video.
This was
Just straight video feed, you know, the sound situation was cool. And so
we even got a compliment on
the video quality. Right. So, all right. Well, yeah, thank you all. And until next time, peace, love, and breath.